Hello, hello, hello. Today is the 20th of April, 2024, and it's time to hear once again from Norm Winsky. Norm, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. When I was last on your show, I think that was the 5th of April. It was a Friday. I had three cycle points, forecasting points, and we're going to review those. Keep in mind that stocks potentially respond to all these events, and then I spell out what commodities and other markets might be involved. So, as you might remember, Monday the 8th, we had a total solar eclipse. There was a little media coverage on that. You might have caught that. And that was the afternoon of the 8th. I'm on Eastern time, so Eastern U.S. And so the afternoon we had the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse is just a special kind of new moon. Every time we have a new moon, full moon, we look at financials, grains, precious metals, and oil. So we'll be looking at those markets here in just a minute. Then we had the night of the 10th. That's after the close overnight. Had Neptune to the U.S. chart. That's based on when the U.S. was founded on the 4th of July, 1776, where the planets were at that time. And we had stocks, T bonds in the U.S. dollar. Then the morning of the 15th, we had Jupiter Helio. That's from the point of view of the sun. Jupiter lined up with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And you want to pay attention to that because we have the geocentric, from the point of view of the Earth, version coming up here over this weekend. So this is immediately important. And we have a full moon coming up here in just a couple of days. So we have that, and we're going to be reviewing cattle, copper, and cotton. So here's our first market. Here's corn on the grains. Dance to the moon often, and there you go. There's a little pop up there in the corn, and that was a short-term top. Soybeans did the same thing. Wheat was even better, had a big rally into the moon there, just off of that, a penny or two off of that high there. Sell there, and you would have made some nice money on the wheat. Every penny in the grains is worth $50. It's somewhat similar math to the S&P E-mini. Here's your cattle, and that made a low. Here's our point for the cattle, our Jupiter, Uranus, and Taurus the bull, and there, that was right there. And you can see we were near that low there, and it popped up for a pretty good rally there. And cotton, the green arrows mean you had a chance to make some money. That's a positive. Red arrow means we had a miss and it didn't work. So cotton just kept going, and that's a miss. Here's the crude oil making a little top there on our on our total eclipse. And you dropped a couple of handles, which was worth a couple of $1,000 in the crude oil contract. Here's the copper on our Jupiter Uranus point. That made a nice short-term top there, and this copper is a beast. Every penny in copper is worth $250, and it's not unusual for in a day or two to move 5 to 10 cents. In this case, I think it moved about 10 cents, which would be $2,500. And then the silver and gold are usually our high percentage markets, but not this time. I don't know why, but silver kept kind of going higher to sideways. So that was a miss, and the gold did pretty much the same thing. Here's the S&P popped up into the eclipse and topped the next day. Then we went down and then kind of chopped sideways, and that's why we have a yellow box there for a pass. It was not clear what to do. Same thing over here on our third point with the Jupiter-Uranus line up there, and it was not clear because you're kind of in the middle of the previous bar there, so not clear whether you should be buying against that low or selling against these highs. Here's the T-bonds, a little more clear. On the bonds here, we dropped into the solar eclipse and then popped up for a short-term low there, a nice short-term low. That was about, looks like about a handle and a half or so. That's $1,500. Then dropped into into a low there and popped up for about a handle or so. That's $1,000. And the U.S. dollar, we made a low right on the next day on the eclipse. That seemed to be the pattern on the eclipse. Many markets turned the next day. So you made the low of the month the next day after the eclipse on the dollar index. Then you popped up here, and then it didn't work. So it went sideways and then higher. So that's a miss. Here's, if you like currencies, so we got a few currencies here. Aussie dollar, top the next day, big top there, big decline. Here's a British pound, just kind of went sideways, so we took a pass. And here's a euro, that's popped, kind of rallied a bit, so you had a chance to sell there. and the next day it also made a high and a big drop. So if we add up the green arrows and red arrows, you got 12 winners, 4 misses out of the 16 for 75%. Here's what's coming up in the next few days and the next week. Over this weekend right now, we have we have Mercury at 0 latitude. That's one of my top things, and that's the grains, corn, soybeans, wheat. Go with Mercury. Keep in mind, stocks potentially respond to all events. Then here's what I talked about earlier: Jupiter, geocentric. Jupiter going to line up with Uranus. This is a 13-year cycle. If you go back and look at your charts, you'll notice that back when I talked about this back in March, and talked about that was going to occur in the middle of March. And you go back and you'll see the NASDAQ topped that week and the Bitcoin topped that week. Several markets made big tops that week and have been been in decline or lower to sideways at a minimum. So anyway, you want to pay attention to that. That's cattle, cotton, copper, cotton. And then the afternoon of the 22nd, we got Jupiter to the U.S. chart. And then the next morning, we got Jupiter to the U.S. chart again. This one involves oil, so that you'll get stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar, and for this one, stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar, and oil. And then the night of the 23rd, we'll have a full moon in the sign of Scorpio, and so we'll add the Scorpio markets to our regular suspects: financials, grain specialists, metal, oil. Then we also have cocoa, emphasizing cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds. In a minute, I'll show you. We have you got to see a T-bond chart, but we didn't have cocoa and hogs in the reviews, so I'll show you those in just a minute. And then we have the moon's north node to U.S. Saturn, stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar, and then you might have heard of Mercury retrograde. Well, that lasts about 3 weeks, and then it turns what's called direct. It's from the point of view of the Earth. It looks like Mercury is going backward and forward, and so it's going to back up to this point and then turn to go forward. And of course, Mercury is the grains. And if you have any questions about any of these technical terms, whatever, I'll be happy to help you. And once I explain it, you'll realize that nothing that I do is over a 5th grade level. It's easy. Just have to learn some new terminology. Speaking of cocoa, though, look at this market. It's crazy. And I know you probably think, oh, I don't care about trading cocoa. But you should study any markets that go crazy, because it's a lesson in mass psychology. When the sheep go crazy, this market has quintupled in the past year. It normally would trade for years. It traded in the 2,000 area, I think about $20 for cocoa per ton or something like that. Now it's 12,000. Okay, so you want to just keep an eye on this for a lesson in mass psychology. Now, and we got the full moon coming up in a couple of days in the sign of Scorpio. I believe Scorpio goes with cocoa. That could be a turning point in the cocoa. I would probably recommend not trading it, just watch it and see how that comes out. Hogs are not so crazy, and they're just trading in their normal fashion. Anyway, so they popped here on Friday. We have Friday's charts. And so in a couple of days, watch the hogs as they continue to rally, as it looks like they broke out of this little consolidation here. Then we might have a short-term top there in a couple of days on the full moon. If you don't know me, I've been doing this a long time and studied all these different methodologies: Gann, Elliott wave theory, astrophysics, astrology, music cycle, so forth. And the common theme here is, contrary to artificial intelligence, this is all natural intelligence. This stuff is all derived. Everything I do is derived from nature, from the way our solar system was constructed. Artificial intelligence mimics this. It looks at market patterns, and it's always a step behind. Same thing with your moving averages and oscillators. If you want to be a step ahead of the market, this is the way to go based on my 50 years of experience. If you would like to call me on Skype anywhere in the world, if you got Skype, NWINSKI@yahoo.com, or you can call me here in the good old USA or from overseas, 239-594-3939. I'm in beautiful Naples, Florida, USA, or you can send me an email at nwinsky@yahoo.com. That's NWINSKI@yahoo.com. Looking forward to helping some of the folks there, Jeff.
Norm, great as always. Thanks for this, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Great. Everybody have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.